Women of Reddit, what's one thing you find totally unattractive that you don't have the heart to tell men? I had a guy friend who was super sweet and funny. We had a great time together, and I could tell he liked me. I started to like him back, but there was one thing that held me back. He had this habit of talking with his mouth full, and it was really gross. I didn't know how to tell him without hurting his feelings. One day we were having lunch, and he was doing it again. I decided to try and gently bring it up. I said something like, "Hey, you know, my mom always told me not to talk with my mouth full. It's kind of a pet peeve of mine." He laughed it off and said he couldn't help it. I didn't want to push it, so I dropped it, but it kept bothering me. I realized I couldn't date him if he didn't stop. I didn't want to hurt him, so I tried to ignore it. Eventually, he asked me out, and I had to tell him I wasn't interested. He was really hurt, and I felt terrible. Years later, we ran into each other, and he was still single. We caught up, and he mentioned he had a hard time keeping a girlfriend. I jokingly said, "Maybe it's because you talk with your mouth full." He looked shocked and said, "Is that why you didn't want to date me?" I admitted it was part of the reason. He was upset, but then he thanked me for finally telling him.